anything I can release at this time. However, I can take questions. However, you guys know the limitations of what I can say.
Assistant Chief, that driver was given a field sobriety test, is that right?
Yes, that's DUI is being investigated, and I do not have the results of that.
Even the field test?
That's correct.
And have you mentioned this already, but did you say the ethnicity of the driver?
I believe Hispanic at this point. I don't know for sure, but I believe Hispanic.
Was there a distance that he came across the road and then struck him, or he just came directly across and struck him?
I don't have that information. That's still being investigated.
Was he speeding?
Don't have that information either. That's still part of the investigation.
Is he in custody?
At this point, he's only being detained and still being investigated.
We understand there were 22 recruits who were hit. How many were part of this group total?
The last number that I got, I thought there were 75 total in the formation running as a morning run for their Sheriff's Academy.
Is it fair to say speed is a factor, considering the number of people he hit, struck, injured, and also a pole that was, I believe it was knocked down? Is speed a factor here?
It's fair that we're going to investigate to see if speed's a factor. However, when a vehicle gets hit by a pedestrian, the vehicle's a lot more impact. The impact of a vehicle to a pedestrian is pretty traumatic at any speed. So, but speed will be a factor that we look at.
The driver was taken to the hospital, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand he was taken to the hospital. Was he conscious? Were you guys able to talk to him, or that's the end of it?
That I don't. The information on the driver itself, I don't have that information.
And obviously, being a SUV, it was bigger, so the impact was harder, right?
SUVs typically are heavier vehicles. Yes.
You don't have an injury report on him? Like what kind of sustained broken bones, anything that? What is that injury?
Are you talking the driver?
The driver.
At this point, I don't have any an injury update on the driver.
On the cadets?
As far as the fire department just gave you the information on the totality of those injured. I don't have any new updates outside of what the fire department already gave you.
Did the driver hit a building or just the cadets? That seems like a lot of impact.
I don't know the total cause within the path of the collision, but all that's going to be investigated by our investigators.
Did the driver try to flee, try to run? Did he
No.
try to get away? Not in any way at all?
No information that I have indicates that.
Did the driver have any connection to the cadets or any of the facilities?
I don't have any information to consider that.
Told us that his foot was still on the accelerator and that deputy recruits had to punch through the window to get him to stop. Do you have any information on that part of it?
I do not. You guys, as in mass casualty events like this, there are going to be a lot of narratives that are being pushed out. We will vet out everything, all the information that's coming out on that, but as of right now, we can only go based on the facts that we have, and information like that, we can't provide that information.
Can you repeat the number of
the driver's injuries?
I don't have an update on his injuries.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, I didn't hear you.
When she was speaking, it was very soft. Will you break down the current, how many majorly injured, the current figures, please? And we didn't get your name.
Sheila Kelleher.
Ma'am, can you push up your hand?
We have 5 immediate critical patients, 4 moderate, and 14 minor. Now those numbers may fluctuate when the patients get to the hospital and they may recategorize them, but that's the initial stats that we have.
And that's as of this morning? Or
That's as when they were transported off scene.
when transported, so we don't have an update.
Not yet.
Are the most critical at UCI?
Don't have that information, but the most critical always go to our trauma centers.
We understand that some of the family was flown to meet for the critical, is that?
I don't have that information.
Any other questions?
Do we have other speakers?
No.
Is this driver cooperating with investigators?
Everything that was told to me, he is cooperating.
Was there any, before the authorities got there, was there any recruits having to rescue other people, other recruits?
Fire was on scene.
Was that going on? Did they set in and get into form and start rescuing other people that are injured more than them? Was that ever?
Yeah, I did not get any information on how those cadets that were injured were triaged and by whom.
Can you talk to us about the triage? Did it work? You guys practice this all the time?
When it comes to multi-casualty incidents, LA County Fire does an amazing job at triaging the patients, sorting them out, determining whether or not they're critical, minor, or major. And from there, then we can get the critical off scene as quickly as possible. We have that golden hour where they need to get to a trauma center, and that happened flawlessly this morning. Because it was a still alarm, that means that the firefighters at the station heard the crash, they ran out and immediately started treating the patients and taking care of them. And also they sent out for more resources, and they balanced out the assignment, and we had a ton of resources on scene, and it was amazing to watch all those patients get off scene as fast as they did. So I think your team did an incredible job this morning in taking care of their fellow brothers and sisters that work for law enforcement.
Really quick, I'm sorry, and I was at the other location. I came here late. Can you go over the victims? How many numbers do we have?
There's 23 victims total, including the driver. We had 22 recruits that were struck or part of the accident, and I had 5 criticals, 4 moderate, and 14 minor.
What was the total recruits that were there?
There were about 75 running in formation, and of those, like I said, 22 were injured. All right?
You said 5 critical, 4 moderate?
And that number will change as they get, taken care of at the hospital. Those categories may change. Critical, moderate, 4 moderate, and 14 minor.
Thank you very much.
Most critical were flown?
I know one was flown. I don't know the rest, but I know one was flown for sure.
Thank you very much. Can anybody of you say anything in Spanish for the Spanish?
We will have a Spanish translator available just after the press conference is over. The Sheriff's Department is going to have their press conference at 10 o'clock, but this was a CHP press conference so that we could provide what information we had regarding this morning's collision and the status of the investigation. For anybody who does have information, we'd ask that you contact the CHP Santa Fe Springs office at area code 562-868-0503. Again, 562-868-0503, and we're looking for any independent witnesses that may have seen or heard the collision from this morning.
Excuse my ignorance. Why is there 2 press conferences, one for you and one for the sheriff?
The sheriff is going to be addressing the status of their injured recruits. This is to address so that we don't have layover, if you will, so that we keep them separate, because the lives and the family members of those recruits are just as important and deserve their own recognition, separate from what the collision investigation is itself.
Are the recruits from this facility?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Supervisor.
I want to make sure that what doesn't get lost, this is a tragedy on so many levels, but we in the county have been making a concerted effort to recruit more men and women who would be willing to go through the rigorous training of an academy and join the LA County Sheriff's Department. We all know that in this environment, it's been difficult finding men and women who are willing to step up and become a member of the LA County Sheriff's Department. So to lose almost, or not to lose, but to have, nearly half of this class being injured, and God willing, they will survive. But they were willing to step up and be first responders themselves. So the fact that this morning, unbeknownst to them, they would immediately become victims and need the assistance of our LA County Fire Department as the first responders is just incredible. And we are a county family. Our fire department and our sheriff's department, we work together. They know each other. So I just didn't want that to be lost on who these young men and women are and what they were willing to do to become a member of the Sheriff's Department. We've been lacking in these new academy classes. I've been working with the sheriff to bring some of these classes online so we can staff up our Sheriff's Department. Those are who these were this morning.
Thank you, Supervisor Hahn. In terms of traffic, we ask that the public avoid the area where the collision occurred this morning. Our multidisciplinary accident investigation team is on scene, and it'll be several hours before the roadway is open again. As you can imagine, they're doing a meticulous job of documenting and photographing the scene, as well as conducting investigation with witnesses. So we ask that the public avoid that area until we put out on social media when the area is open again.
That includes the driver.
That's including the driver?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we will also be putting out a press release once information has stabilized and we have more concrete information and the status of the condition of all those that have been transported. So if there's no other questions, then we thank you for being here today, and our thoughts and prayers are with those who were injured and their families this morning. Thank you.